Hello, I'm Archbishop Coleridge, and I want to speak a word to you about a matter of real concern to all the people of Queensland. This week in parishes across the Archdiocese of Brisbane, we're observing what we call Dying Peacefully, No Euthanasia Sunday. We want to draw attention to the issue of voluntary assisted dying and euthanasia, which is being debated in many ways in many parts of the country at this time. Now, the Church is not the only voice in the discussion, and we certainly don't impute bad faith or evil intent of any kind to people who see things differently, and many do. Everyone wants to be compassionate in difficult circumstances. Everyone values personal freedom. The difference is in the way we define what these mean in those difficult circumstances. Attached to this website, I hope you'll find some links to resources to give you more information about the many issues associated with this theme. In some cases, our own church position may come as a bit of a surprise to you, because we're not demanding that life be prolonged at all costs. That isn't and never has been Catholic teaching. So that's not what we are saying. It's not consistent with a Catholic ethic. Life is a good, but it's neither absolute nor is it the greatest good. Dying is part of life, and the ultimate good is God. Now, the Catholic tradition has developed several important moral distinctions to help us navigate this complex space. For example, the Catholic tradition affirms that a person can voluntarily stop treatment for a terminal illness when it's judged to be too burdensome or disproportionate. Pain and suffering can be relieved, even if the medication administered for the purpose could end in death. A person, together with their families, their loved ones, should discuss their wishes in terms of care and their desire for potential life-prolonging interventions should they become incompetent. And they can document this in the form of an advanced care plan. None of this, however, constitutes voluntary assisted dying, physician-assisted suicide, or euthanasia. And each of them is perfectly compatible with the Catholic faith. What's more, all of these scenarios should fit comfortably within the spectrum of what is provided in a properly funded palliative care system available on a statewide basis, keeping in mind that palliative care is very much more than the sedation of pain. That's part of it, but there's much more to palliative care, which is a form of walking lovingly with people who are moving towards death. By contrast, when we talk about so-called voluntary assisted dying, euthanasia or physician-assisted suicide, or however else it's styled, we can't avoid the fact that we're talking about the intentional killing of a person. So let me make our position clear. As a church, we oppose the legislation of any direct action specifically intended to bring about the death of a person. This includes the provision of lethal substances for that purpose or the administration of lethal substances by any means for that purpose. Instead, we continue to support the long-held moral and legal distinction between these direct intentional actions to kill someone on the one hand, and on the other hand, proportionate refusal, withholding or withdrawal of medical treatments that promise little or no benefit, or that are too burdensome at the end of life. Or appropriate intentional provision of medication to alleviate symptoms of pain and suffering, to sedate. It's clear that these legitimate practices aren't well understood by everyone in Queensland. many people seem to believe that the medical fraternity, or indeed their religion, requires them to prolong life at all costs regardless of the burden. Many people also think palliative care is like euthanasia because the pain medications will kill you anyway. Now, this isn't the case. And as a religious leader, I'm committed to do what I can to support initiatives such as Dying Peacefully No Euthanasia Sunday in parishes so that people, all people, can be educated properly about the issues and are less likely to be victims of misunderstandings. Now, I know it can be tempting to think of euthanasia as somehow more humane, more compassionate, more loving. I don't dispute the fact that many of those who support voluntary assisted dying or euthanasia do so because they really believe that it's a loving solution to suffering. Seeing loved ones suffer and wanting to end that suffering is, of course, a response motivated by care and concern and by love. But this fails to recognise not just the resilience, but the power of the human spirit in the face of the most intense suffering. Love and intimacy can find unique and full expression in the care of those who suffer. In moments like that, you see that love is a power stronger than any pain. But it can't remove all the pain, that is true. Yet it can alleviate the fear, the feelings of being a burden, or the feeling even that I'm not worth anything. My life is worthless. Against that background, then, we might consider the question, do we as a society really want to introduce a law that suggests, however subtly, that we are wrong to want to be with our loved ones for just a little while longer? That our suffering is meaningless? Or that we've come to a point where my life is worthless? Let's not make the mistake of thinking that we are respecting freedom when we provide the means for someone to kill themselves, or of thinking that we are being loving and compassionate when we intentionally and actively cause someone to die. We respect true freedom when we're sure that our social structures and laws don't make anyone feel that they or society would be better off if they were dead. We're compassionate, truly compassionate, when we ensure that our society and its laws leave no one feeling that their life is not worth living or that they're under some subtle obligation to end their lives. I'll leave it there because the documents are with you for you to read in full at your own leisure. But please do read them. If nothing else, they might throw light on an aspect of Catholic teaching that you hadn't known or hadn't known well. They might underscore why our support for better palliative care is grounded in the sense of the common good, keeping in mind that palliative care is much more than the sedation of pain. Better end-of-life care begins with better conversations about death and dying. We tend to be terrified of them. How important it is for us to talk about how we can die well in ways that don't undermine the really fundamental values of a truly human society. For my part, I favour a society which says yes to meaningful living and no to voluntary assisted dying, physician-assisted suicide or euthanasia. I favour a truly human society which knows that in the end, love is stronger than death.